Attention now turns to the State Collation Center in Awka as voting, sorting and counting wrap up across most polling units in Anambra. Officials are now moving to collate results in what's shaping up to be the final stretch of this much talked about governorship election. Welcome to what could be the final lap of our special coverage of Anambra Decides 2025, where we brought you a blow-by-blow account from the very first vote this morning. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
And I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Now, here's the big update. INEC's results viewing portal, IREF, is lighting up fast tonight. As we speak, over 98% of polling unit results have been uploaded. An unprecedented feat for an off-cycle election and a strong signal that Anambra may get its official winner within hours.
Well, that's if the coalition go as fast as what we're seeing on IREF. We're also getting fresh assessments from citizen observers who have been monitoring this process. According to Yaga Africa and other partners, today's poll has been largely peaceful and orderly, with visible improvements in logistics and deployment of election materials across the state. By 7:30 a.m., INEC officials had arrived at 49% of observed polling units. It's a notable improvement from 2021, where we had 28% and 17% in the previous election. But it still means that less than half of polling units were operational at the official start time. A clear sign that INEC might still have a lot of work to do, Jumoke. And
by 9:30 a.m., however, things picked up. Accreditation and voting were underway in 85% of polling units, compared to just 28% in the last election. That's some progress, but not without concerns. Observers documented cases of vote buying, including the use of POS machines and the collection of voters' details for post-voting payments. There were also reports of missing result sheets, late starts in some polling units, and security gaps in a few areas. Nife?
Well, those are going to be the red flags that could shape how tonight's collation plays out and perhaps influence any legal or political disputes that follow. There's a viral video, Jimmy, I don't know if you've seen it, of a party agent who went to the voting cubicle with a voter and was asking how much. And that also plays to the fore the evident nature of vote buying in elections. And we had spoken with the resident electoral commissioner, who gave us some assurance that that would be an issue in this election, but it's different from what we're hearing.
But I'm not surprised. But what surprises me is, when politicians continue to say, oh, so party board votes, so party board votes, give us names. I mean, we've come to a moment where we should not basically rely on, okay, there is vote buying. Who bought votes? Who paid what? How much did you as a politician pay? Did you also buy votes? I
also think it would be difficult to tackle vote buying except we're able to carry the electorate along. We must get to the point where people are saying, you know what, I'm not taking this morning and we're not going to allow this to happen at this polling unit.
Can we ever get there?
Hopefully, except they say that politicians intentionally keep electorate poor so that they can manipulate them with money.
I believe so.
Joining us tonight in the studios, Liberos Oshoma. We're also going to be joined live virtually by Chukwuma Okenwa to help us understand, unpack what these findings mean for the credibility of the process, or whether what we're seeing on IREF really tallies with what's happening at the collation centers and what citizens should be watching as results are reconciled tonight across the state. Hopefully, we'll get an official announcement of the winner before midnight. Liberos Oshoma, they say you've been monitoring elections since the 70s. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Okay, just a minute before we bring Liberos into this conversation. There's also an analysis that we are following very quickly with our head of news operation, Uzona, who is standing by. Walk us through precisely what we're expecting to see. I know you're probably talking about the past governors in Anambra. By the way, in one word, Uzona, what do you make of this election process thus far?
Someone said that this is one of the most boring elections in Nigeria.
The competition is poor, right?
Very boring. When I listened to the person speaking, two people were actually having that conversation. Somebody asked, has there been any incident of ballot box snatching? No. Has there been any incident of shooting? No. Any attacks yet? No. Oh, what a boring election. Well, but as a matter of fact, that is where we should be heading to when elections are conducted without those ugly incidents that we always talk about and dominate conversation.
We did.
All right, so one of the things I'm going to talk about now, or the major thing I'm going to discuss now, is one of what has become a key factor in elections in Nigeria, and that is zoning. No matter how you look at it, at the local government, state, and the federal, it's always a case of where does this person come from? Where should the power be going next? All right? Most of us disagree with that. We insist that let's give preference to capacity and not where the person comes from. Unfortunately, we lose sight of the fact that every pocket, every community, every segment of the Nigerian population has credible people who have capacity also to lead. It is just that they do not have the opportunity, or the system and the structure hasn't favored them. But let's get down straight to Anambra State, which is our focus this evening. I hope my device will not play pranks on me now.
But it looks like Arif is working better than that right now. but we're going to give you time to fix that. Interestingly, we hear that there is a gentleman arrangement in Anambra, Liberals, about the zoning arrangement, that even candidates from other parties understood this, and that's why we heard one of them saying that they don't mind running for a single term, you know, just to align with this arrangement.
So it's always been about zoning in, you know, almost every state, that every election, even the national election, it's always the, you know, because of, I would look at it from the point of view of the politics being almost the only occupation for a lot of people now in Nigeria. And that's why, Nifemi, people will pray for you to get appointment because they think probably you are not earning enough salary to go round. That maybe what you are earning is just for you and your family. That so they pray for appointments so that you can give largesse. And so if you take it down to, you know, politics that will play today, you find out that everybody, you know, wants a sense of belonging politically. So there's this belief that once your person is there, and then certainly that area would get their fair share of, you know, infrastructure from government. If you, any state you mentioned, so it's always about the Senate. So they have the senatorial zones arrangement. Then from the senatorial zone, if you're not talking about senators, you're not talking about, you know, which area was the last senator from, and how many years have you stayed. Even, let me give you an instance. The last election in Edo, it was about zoning arrangement that even the current governor got to Senate, because the man who was there felt he could go a third term, and they said, no, it is two term that we all agreed on.
Absolutely.
So in this case, you remember also, when Peter Obi was living in Anambra, it was the same zoning arrangement. Was it Oselu Kalbaze, who he wanted ordinarily. And then they said, no, this man is not from the north. So we need a candidate from the north now to become the governor. And that was Obiano, who was from Aguleri. Aguleri is in the northern part of the state. The moment the man from Aguleri served out his 8 years. So it was the turn of another zone. And then if you look at it, so Chukwuma Soludo is from the south or so. Peter Obi was from the central. And then he went to the north, and then now back to the south. So with all of this, now is his second term. And then what other thing they will look at is, if another zone comes on board, this zone is going for the second term now. If another zone comes, that zone we want to do
We have to do 8 years, primarily. But just hold on for a minute. Let us zone this time back to who's on air, whose screen is now working.
I've survived.
I hope that you will never again criticize INEC when technology messes them up.
I have survived it. Imagine what we set it up, tried it, everything was okay, and now at the moment, okay, let me get back to it immediately. Liberals almost finished my job. It's just for me to say thank you very much. I leave. Well, from 1999, I start when Dr. Chinwoke Mbadinojo, who incidentally is from Anambra South, became governor. There was no thought of where or who next, because at that time, everybody were united in let's get the military out. We sort ourselves out as we progress. But the state turned out the way it turned out then, that even the PDP refused to present him as the candidate for the next election, and then brought in Dr. Chris Ngige, who is from the Central. At that point yet, the issue of where does this person come from hasn't really gained so much ground, and people were not talking about it so much until when Peter Obi got in, still from Anambra Central. He was the one that began the mantra of let's go north, as Liberals stole from my idea. So he was the one that actually began that campaign of let's go north. The only mistake Liberals made was that Obaze is also from the north. The only difference is that he wasn't the preferred choice of so many of the people that appeared to be the kingmakers at that time. And so Obiano was preferred, who is from the north. He served 8 years, and then Professor Soludo, who comes from the southern part of the state in terms of senatorial arrangement, as Liberals again pointed out. He had done 4 years, and there's another 4 years to go if that arrangement is going to be maintained, if that arrangement is going to be. A lot of people still believe, even among the elites, that it's high time we jettisoned this entire structure or arrangement of where will the power go. But whether that will be effective at this time or not, we are yet to see, or we'll be seeing in the next number of hours, as the results begin to come out. However, among the candidates contesting in this election, out of the top 5 or even top 6, you will find that 4 of them are from the south. They are from the south, the same senatorial zone where Governor Soludo comes from. The other 2, one is from the central, the other one from the north, among the top 6. I mean, without mentioning any political party, or in that regard. Now, there's a huge task that Anambra State people must have considered and had answered, yet we do not know the answer for now, and that is whether to maintain that tradition of zoning. I would like us to think about this very, deeply. What do we gain if we continue the system of zoning? Does it have advantages on one hand? And on the other hand, what are we losing by sticking to that parochial consideration? I mean, this is an assignment for you guys to sort out by the time I take my walk from here. But the issue is that whatever happens in this election has a consequence in the next 4 years. If anybody from any other zone, apart from the south, wins to become governor, in the next 4 years, there's going to be a tussle of you can't go for a second term, or let's forget all about this and move on. And if the governor wins for a second term and then finishes up his 8-year term, the question again will be, must we continue with this whole thing? I'm trying to open up conversations for you guys to resolve. The resolution is in your hands. I'll just create the problem and go, and then while you solve it. And that is what is playing out or has played out in Anambra.
Indeed.
Take this and shift it to the national level. There's still a national question begging everybody, waiting for answers from everyone. There's a certain candidate or certain individual who had been running to become president for, remind me how many years now?
Does he know which individual you're talking about?
Okay, but let's move on. A certain individual that has been running to become president
since 1992.
Since 1992. Oh, you see, you know the person. Yeah. So whether that race continues now or in the next year or 2 is also tied to how you guys will resolve all of this. But there's need for a position that everybody will take or understand on how we handle or address the issue of where, who, or what goes to where
Absolutely.
in Nigerian politics?
Well, fantastic submission, and you've also created a good trouble. Uzona Onoye is TVC's head of news operation. Thank you for your analysis.
My pleasure.
Thank you
very
so much
much
for talking to us. I am of the opinion that each election cycle has its own unique character, and I think